Welcome back to the Sickle Cell Society podcast. Today we'll be joined by sickle cell patients Gilda, Michael and Bolaji, who will be diving into sickle cell and relationships. We're sponsored by Terimo and I'm your host Kesewaa Browne. Let's dive in. So Gilda, Bolaji and Michael are here to discuss relationships and intimacy with sickle cell. Michael and Bolaji, you're no strangers. You were on the first one, and we're joined by Gilda, who is a sickle cell advocate and has presented her own documentary about sickle cell and the care that sickle cell patients receive. But I'd love to kind of ask you about your relationships and say, how has sickle cell impacted your romantic relationships?
I mean, I've not been in many relationships, but I would say it has, to the point, I mean, not in the best way, I guess. My first kind of relationship, the guy was fine with it, absolutely fine with it. I remember telling him and he didn't care, he was going to get tested, all of that. Actually, he already knew that he didn't have it because he got sick at one point and they tested him. So he was like, it's fine, like we could be together, I don't have it. And I was like, great. But then it was when he told his mum, that's when issues kind of started, and she cried when she found out. And he told me that she cried, and I was like, almost speechless, because I was like, why is she crying? Like, is she crying for me? Is she crying for you? Like, what's the issue kind of thing? And then since then, the vibe of our relationship between me and his mom completely changed. Like, I didn't feel comfortable in the house anymore. We wasn't as close anymore. And I could just tell that something shifted. And I do believe it was because of that. I don't know, I guess parents are all different, especially like the older generation. They don't like to speak about stuff like that either. And I feel like I've heard as well from a lot of other people that parents have said that they don't want to bring the sickle cell gene into their bloodline. So it could be that, which is sad, but I mean, what can I do about it? It's life, I guess. And we didn't last, I mean, we moved on. But that was that one. And then I was in another relationship where, I mean, it was to the point where he didn't take it seriously. Like, I think because he's never seen me have a crisis, he just didn't understand the severity of it. And whereas at first I didn't like talking about the fact that I had sickle cell, and then one day I was like, oh, I'm an advocate now, and I've started screaming from the rooftops about sickle cell and how important it is, he just didn't understand. And he wasn't willing to learn. He didn't want to ask me any questions. Every time I said I was sick, he just didn't take it seriously. He said he would get tested multiple times. He didn't. He just wasn't interested, and that was like major red flags to me. So I was like, yeah, this is not going to go anywhere, because till this day I don't know if he has a trait or not. I mean, so I can't be with him. So I think it's very different. And within dating, like, I always pretty much tell someone that I have sickle cell quite early on if I'm talking to someone. And it's always hard trying to figure out when it is the right time to tell someone, because you don't want to seem too forward. Like, sometimes someone said, oh, why are you telling me this now? Like, we're not together, sort of thing. Why are you looking so far into the future? And it's like, I know you don't get it, but I have to look that far into the future. Like, if you do have a trait, then I need to reconsider things and reconsider if we're going to move forward, because obviously I don't want a child with sickle cell. And I think some people struggle to understand that, and they think that you're being really forward and you're pressuring them to get tested and do all of this kind of stuff and be in a serious relationship with someone with a chronic condition. So they kind of get scared and they pull away and stop talking to you. Some people are really nice about it. They ask you questions, they want to know. They say, oh, well, I know someone with it, and they start telling you all these facts and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, this is nice. Like, they get it, they understand, they know if they have a sickle cell trait or not. But it's just it's very different, very different. And unfortunately, I have had a guy use it against me. At one point, because he didn't like what I was saying, so he kind of threw it back in my face, which was not nice, and it shocked me. It really did. I mean, at first I laughed. He's. Do you want me to say what you said?
If you feel comfortable, if you feel comfortable.
I was saying how, like, oh, you're actually a bit strange, kind of thing. Like, he was very, like, forward.
Really?
Like, he was very, like...
That is odd, yeah.
He was very controlling, sort of thing. And I don't know him. And I'm just like, this is really strange. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this sort of thing. And, I mean, it got to a point where I was saying stuff and he didn't like it. And he was like, well, you're a diseased, egotistical girl. Go and take your meds before God kills you.
Oh my gosh.
And stuff like that. And I was like, oh, like, I laughed in the moment because I was so shocked.
Yeah.
But then when I thought about it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I shed a tear. Like, I was like,
oh, bless you.
Imagine, like, if I wasn't strong enough and like, he told that to someone that was really down at that moment about their condition, and they went and gone and done something to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been that. He doesn't know, like, what I'm going through or anything. And I just thought, I can't believe there's people out here like this that would just say stuff like that. And yeah, that was one of the worst experiences, sort of thing. But apart from that, everybody else has been not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, that is really bad. I mean, he's definitely very strange.
Yeah.
Like, he confirmed
oh my
he
gosh,
was
thank
strange.
goodness.
That's quite
He
strange.
confirms
That's a strange response.
That's a
Yeah.
mad response, you know. That's
like,
so needy. Like, that's
just because you don't know how to control your feelings.
yeah, that is odd.
Crazy. I was like, that's when I knew, like, oh my gosh, I need to be careful with, like, certain guys.
Yeah.
And I probably should start saying, like, it made me think, when should I say it? Should I tell people? Should I not? Like, I don't know. Because at first he was really nice about it as well.
Yeah.
And he was asking me questions. And because he was I told him because he was asking me if I was sexually active.
That's insane. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not. And he just didn't get it. He didn't get why I wasn't.
Okay.
And I was like, not everyone is sexually active.
Yeah. Not the water serious.
No, like that, like it's almost like you're drinking to apologize. Like some men of the I was just like, I'm sorry.
It got to the point, like, I had to explain to him. I was like, I'm not sexually active, especially because I've been in hospital for like a month as well. Like, I've not been out here. I don't talk to people. And then that's when he was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I understand. So that's why I ended up telling him my sickle cell. Usually I wouldn't even have told him at that point because I didn't really know him. I only spoke to him for a few days.
Oh my days.
But because
that
he
is
was
weird.
so, like, he thought I was genuinely lying about the fact that I wasn't sexually active. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Some people aren't. Like, and then that's when I told him, I was like, I'm not, because I've been in hospital, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, okay, cool, fair enough then.
Not the fair enough.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, that's him admitting guilt. Like, yeah, that's my bad. Like,
and then he threw it back in my face.
Yeah.
But I was like, you're a bit strange.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, have you had similar, have people ever reacted that way to you?
Not to the extent of that. I'd say, like, there was not even a girl I was seeing, just like a girl in a dance. Not in a dance, it was, it was like a house party, should I say. And obviously I'm speaking to her and I'm telling her about Sickle Cell, and then her reaction was, ew, is it contagious? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I looked at her and I was like, if I wasn't God's child, like, type of thing. So, like, stuff like that. But that obviously comes with lack of education, naivety. and obviously what people don't know, they don't get, and they won't understand. So I was like, do you know what? Obviously in that moment, I'm like, you're not for me.
Yeah.
And like, just in terms of dating experience, I think I was like the most authentic ghoster, because like I'd go weeks of being okay, you'd meet someone, you talk to them, and then I'm in hospital for about a week or two. And they're like, why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you doing this? I'm high on morphine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could barely put a sentence together. So like, it just never really worked out. Like, and just because the lack of communication, I'm just like, for me right now, my priority is getting myself straight, and then maybe I might talk to you or text you back and say, oh yeah, it's my bad, yeah. But obviously as time goes on, you're like, and as you get older, you know, you kind of have to owe people an explanation of why you've been missing. And some people get it, some people don't. And the ones that don't need to be in your life. It's as simple as that. And then I haven't really had much girlfriends, I wouldn't say. I've probably 2 in my life, two major ones. And then the one I'm with now is turned into a fiance, which is God. But yeah, no. little round of applause. But she approached it in a thing like, cool, tell me more.
Yeah.
She was always open and willing to know more and understand it. She went off. Like after I told her, I think the date I told her, she went off by herself, did her research, and was like, oh, right, this is this and this and this. I was like, oh, that's very considerate, like for you to take your time and research it and know what I'm dealing with in my life as well. And she was like, I didn't ask her to do that. She was just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna support you on this journey that you're on. So I think it just depends on people, and if they like you enough, I guess that they're more willing to embrace the sickle cell struggle and understand what it is, to then tackle it with you. So yeah, no, dating it with sickle cell it's not for the light-hearted. I definitely say that.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And like, Michael, do you agree with what Bolaji was saying
I
there?
agree. Funny enough, I have a complete opposite approach where it was my fault regards to the relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like because I have sickle cell, I basically, I wouldn't say as a coping mechanism, but how I acted was, I was always the class clown. I always wanted to be the louder person so that I can hide that side of me.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, I would have transfusions every month, so people would know I wouldn't be in school all the time.
Yeah.
And there was one time where I was dating this person, and we was in a good relationship. It was going good, and my communication cut where I was in hospital. I had a crisis, and she didn't know. She was just messaging me saying, "Oh, what's going on? Why are you not responding to me?" And it was like a crazy crisis where I was just feeling pain all over my body, and I was just literally in hospital for like 2 weeks. And then, funny enough, she called me. I answered the phone. And then I was being very blunt about things. She was asking me a lot of questions. And then I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm fine. But I don't know how she knew. I think she heard like a beep in the back. So she knew that I was in hospital. And then all of a sudden, I was just chilling, you know, watching some TV. She comes and she sees me in the hospital bed. And because I'm the class clown, I never share that side of me when it comes to sickle cell. So people thought, that's Michael. He's the funny guy. He's the strong guy. Do you know what I'm saying? So her seeing me in that vulnerable state, I couldn't take it. So I ended things with her. And she was the type where she was so like, her reaction was so pure. She was like, oh, I didn't know you was in hospital. I'm so sorry about my reaction to you. And she showed like so much love. And think about it now that I'm more mature, I kind of regret that because that was like a really good bond that we had. But me being me then, like how I've portrayed myself, I cut things off. I couldn't take it. And I feel like when it comes to sickle cell, the first thing you need to do is really accept you having that condition. And now I really embrace it. So when I go to my relationships, I go with my relationship with an open mind. I always say, I have sickle cell, and always let them know in advance, because I feel like if you like that side of me and you don't like me having sickle cell, then you don't like me for me. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'll say that's like the biggest experience I had where I've kind of hid sickle cell from my partner, I would say.
But that was like, just going back on what you said, that's kind of like you protecting yourself type of thing in terms of cutting the relationship short, because you are vulnerable. You're in that state. When you're like on the hospital bed and you're trying to recover, you feel so vulnerable. And to see someone you have genuine connection with see you like that, you're like, oh, that's not how I want her to see me.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
So I completely understand that in terms of
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
She literally just pulled up like out of the blue.
Yeah.
I was just chilling.
Like,
Oh my gosh, I'd be so stressed.
Like,
I was
obviously,
thinking, what? I didn't know how to react. Like, I had like needles in me. I was like, this on the bed. I was wearing a gown as well.
I don't know what
it was.
I don't know if it's like a masculinity thing, but obviously
Yeah,
you want
I
to
think
be
it is. I
the
think it is.
strongest
Exactly.
person
You wanna
to,
be the
to your
provider.
partner.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
them seeing you like that, you're like, rah, like it almost makes you feel even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, I don't know what it is. It's a psychology thing, I think. But you kind of just want to hide that, as Michael said, you want to hide that side of yourself to them, so they still see you as like the breadwinner, the masculine guy that can take care of you and stuff like that. So all of that stuff plays into relationships as well.
Definitely, and I think there's still such a taboo about talking about your feelings, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or like
100%.
even saying like you're in pain. I mean, you could visibly be in pain,
Yeah.
but just saying those words out loud, there's
Yeah.
still like a taboo there, isn't there?
100%.
Yeah. I feel like as well, Michael, hindsight's a great thing. So like, do you know what I mean? Now you're a bit older, like you say, perhaps you deal with the situation a bit differently, but also you're just protecting yourself, innit?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
Yeah.
I would have been stressed if someone just turned up.
That's also quite stressful.
We did it.
Ah, bro.
Yeah.
I'd check if I was dreaming.
Yeah. I had to turn the other way. I was looking. Bro.
That's good.
I pretend I'm sleeping.
I should have done that.
Yeah, you should have done that, maybe. Yeah. That's funny. Imagine you're just there and just be like, your eyes are open all of a sudden.
You think they're gone, you open one eye, they're
Yeah.
still
They're
there.
still there like,
It is a weird feeling though, like when you're dating someone and they do come to the hospital to visit you, like it's the strange feeling, even though like sometimes you know they're coming. Like this guy I was dating, he offered to come, he wanted to come, and I was like, yeah, like, but I was really thinking, no, like, oh my gosh, like, and he came all the way from Croydon to like Essex, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I knew he was coming, but it was like so stressed. And like when they were doing my obs, my heart rate was high, and my nurse is like, oh, why is your heart rate high? Trying to make it like a flirty thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, chill out. Like,
Low-key shady for that.
literally. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please, you're embarrassing me. Like, it was
You know
so
what?
freaking awkward.
Now that you say that, I feel like having someone that you care about come to the hospital makes things worse because you feel like you're hiding your pain.
Yeah.
Like you're not
I
expressing
feel
the
that as
pain.
well,
Like,
like-
when I'm in hospital, like, and I have a crisis, bro, I'll be making sounds. I'll be.
You like.
But when someone comes, like when my brother comes, I try to contain it, and I feel like it makes it worse. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like you have to put on like a brave face.
A brave face.
Yeah.
Like I hate crying in front of people and stuff. Sometimes I do break down and I feel guilty for crying in front of my sisters and stuff like, because now I'm like, oh, now I'm making them feel awkward and bad. I'm like, oh gosh, now they're looking at me feeling sorry for me.
I think the only
hate it.
person I can have a true sickle cell crisis with is my mum.
My mum, yeah. Fact.
Just because she's been there from the jump, like she's from when I was young, she's seen my pain and she understands it. So even now, like if I was to have a designated carer or someone like that to go to hospital with, it would be my mum, because I could be myself, and my partner now, to be fair, because she's actually seen it with her own eyes. But yeah, it's crazy. You have to put on a brave face even though you're in like incredible amount of pain. And it's just that as well with doctors as well. You're like, right, I don't know how else I could tell you I'm in pain. Like you can see me crying, you can see me
Literally.
like curled up in a ball, like. But for some reason, doctors think I'm a what do you call it, recovering drug addict. That's
Doctors
just
have a whole new level.
seeking morphine. I'm just like, brother, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here. But that's a whole different topic in
Literally.
itself.
Yeah. No.
I have a question for you, Bolaji. Like, do you feel like now that you have your partner, you guys been in like a long-term relationship, do you tell her like everything regarding your condition, or there's some things where you feel like you're a bit worried about how she will take it if you was to tell her?
No, I think I tell her most things. Obviously, I tell her about like the things I'm most concerned about. So with me, I'm concerned about strokes with sickle cell, and spleen failure with sickle cell. But with the spleen failure with sickle cell, I think I've kind of overcome it, because there was a time like doctors were adamant they want to cut out my spleen when I was younger. with the stroke is the most feared one because you just never know when that comes and when that's going to happen. So I try to actively like be as healthy as possible, eat healthy, train healthy. But like that's the one thing in the back of my mind. It's just like that can happen at any time. So like I disclose that with her, but I don't let her know to the extent of that fear, just because it's out of my control. And obviously, when you overthink things, it spirals. But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Do you, when you're in pain and stuff, do you tell her like every single time you're having a crisis or in pain, or is it to the point where you know it's a big crisis and you might need to go to hospital? That's when you tell her.
Nah,
like the little ones, you tell her as well.
Yeah, little ones. So like if I'm like I'm not feeling great, she'll be like, oh, let me get you water. Let me get you some painkillers. If it's in the next room, she'll go rather than me moving and going myself. I'm fortunate to have like a personal oxygen machine in my house, so she'll help me like switch it up, set it up, and then give it to me like. And then if I need like something like a hot water bottle or something like that, she'll help me with that as well. But I genuinely try not to let my sickle cell crisis escalate. So the quicker I act, the better it is. And she's like familiar with that now, and she's like on it in terms of helping me. So yeah, that's that for your question. Yeah, I think from the jump you got to tell them, because that's when they can help you the most, I think.
Do you feel like, is that something you would do going forward, like Michael and Gilda? Do you think you'd tell like your partners about?
I think it's key, yeah. I think it's key you tell them. You wouldn't.
I don't know, man.
The thing is with me, it doesn't happen, it's not a regular occurrence. So it's not like a sheep that cried wolf. When I tell her, she knows like, I need to do that ASAP. And I think obviously it's more beneficial to you if your partners know.
Yeah.
100%. It's more beneficial because then the stuff you do, obviously when I used to live by myself, I'll be like, damn, I'm about to have a crisis. Like my oxygen's in the next room, like I need to go do that. I need to set up my painkillers to take over a course of 4 hours and to get enough. But I'm doing that whilst being in that process of but if you're with a partner, they can do all of that for you and help you. But yeah, I think it's important too.
I hear what you're saying. I feel like you just need to get to that comfortable level. Because with my current partner, like, I feel like whenever I have like pain or something like that, I wouldn't tell her. But when I'm in hospital and it's something where, okay, cool, it's going to affect communication, she's going to know eventually something's up, then I'll tell her I'm in the hospital, but I won't tell her I had a crisis. Do you get what I'm saying? So I play around with it.
But you know, like, if you're out and about and you feel something coming on, would you tell her then? Would you be like, yo, whatever we're doing here, we need to cut it short?
I feel like that's something that I need to overcome. Because it's like my whole life I've basically dealt with it myself. But like my current partner is someone where like she says, oh, I know about your condition. Like with Sickle Cell coming out, she did like so much research. So she's like, tell me everything. You know, I want to learn everything. So I feel like I'm starting to open up more, get more comfortable sharing it. But I feel like at this stage now, not yet.
No, I get it.
Is it early days? Is it early days?
It's been 5 months, so yeah.
Okay.
Kind of early.
Oh, lovely.
That's lovely. I'd love to know, because obviously, you know, it's winter time now. It's cuffing season, as they say.
Cuffing season was like carnival. That's like August, September, cuffing season, and then you're in it.
But I feel like now is the peak, because obviously Valentine's Day is months away, so you always want to bathe.
And Christmas as well.
Exactly.
Wow, yeah. Christmas as well.
Exactly.
You need a present on Christmas Day.
It's true. And like a little nice like love letter. Like maybe that's just extra of me, but I like.
Damn, I ain't written love letters since primary school. No, it's good though.
I'm an English graduate, so.
I hear it.
I need to come to you.
Honestly, I'd write them for you. I love it. I'd love to know, you know, when it comes to, I guess, settling out. Michael, you know, you've been in a relationship now for 5 months, you know, and I'd love to know when it comes to like, you know, finding a partner, and, you know, you've obviously been both with your partners for a little bit now. I'm wondering, how soon do you mention genotypes and genotesting? Because people always say, you know, it's quite an interesting topic online, isn't it? Some people think that it should be said straight away. Other people think maybe, you know, you don't want to say, and it's like one day and then be a bit like spooked out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I feel like, you know what, I spoke with my mum about this, and I feel like now, if I wasn't for my relationship now, any partners I have, obviously this one's gonna last 100%, But
Yay!
the first 3 questions, but the first 3 questions I would ask is, what's your favorite color? What's your 5-year plan? And what's your genotype? I feel like that's so important because it's funny how like so many, I would even just say like my friends, like they're black, they don't even know their genotype and they don't even know what sickle cell is. And I just find that crazy, and it's so easy to get just a simple blood test and you find that out. Like people could have a sickle cell trait and they don't even know that because they don't know their genotype. So I think it's really, really important to know that and ask that straight away.
How could people test their genotype?
For a normal routine blood test, you can ask for your GP to look out for it when they are taking bloods, and they should be able to provide that information for you once you've taken your blood. But like, the conversation's hard. Like,
there's sickle cell centres as well around that you can pop into. I mean, there's not very many of them, but there are a few that you can pop into and ask.
It's difficult, you were going to say?
No, sorry, I was going to say it's difficult to ask that. I don't think I asked that question until maybe a year and a bit in, maybe 2 years, I think it was into our relationship, then I was asking. But you never know, like, obviously, as much as I tell her, in the initial stages, I've got sickle cell, it's this, but genotype and stuff like that is something, if you're planning kids with them, I think that's when that conversation starts to happen. So
interesting. I feel like it should be
an
earlier conversation. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I mean, it can be. It can come whenever. But for me, it was just like, it was at a later date for my relationship. But the conversation should be had, 100%. I think we should agree on that. But when to have it is completely up to you, I think.
Gilda, when you've been dating, have you asked people from from first date or second date, or is it more you see how far?
Yeah, sorry. I think.
Yeah, no, go on.
No, I was gonna say you're saying you should have it. You should have a conversation straight up in case like feelings are had.
Yeah.
You fall in love.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if at a later date you find out. I see your perspective now. Sorry. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
What am I supposed to do now?
No, you're right. You're completely right.
Yeah, which is why I say it. I ask. I mean, when I feel like there possibly could be potential in something, like it's not when I start talking to you, like as soon as sort of thing. But when I feel like, oh, we're actually connecting, we're vibing, like maybe there might be something, I'll ask then, because I don't want to fall in love with you and then find out you have a trait. Yeah. And I'm like, great.
So like 3-4 dates in?
I don't fall in love. I'm so slow. Like I've not been in a relationship for ages. Like I'm just, I don't know what it is. I think I'm kind of scared as well. Like I just hate the feeling of feeling like I'm a burden on someone. I don't want someone to. I'm sick a lot. Like I am. I'm in hospital a lot. I'm in pain all the time, every day, and I need a lot of help sometimes. And I just don't want to feel like I'm forcing someone to help me. And I haven't found someone that I feel like would off the bat be like, let me get you a drink, like your like your fiance, or let me get you a hot water bowl. That's what I would want. I wouldn't want someone like, I feel like I'm begging you to get it for me. When I start feeling like that, I zone out. Like I'm like, no, this is not for me. And I feel, I get worried. I get scared, especially like with the fact that I do want kids and stuff like that. I need to know that you're going to be there to look after the kids if I'm in hospital. Like, I need to know you're going to be a good partner and a good husband and a good dad. Like, it really does freak me out. Like, I don't feel like I would be able to cope being a single parent. And I just really need someone that's reliable. Yeah. And I feel like that's hard to find. So that's why I've been single for a very long time.
Yeah.
I just freaked out, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, I feel like dating is a very vulnerable position to put yourself in anyway. Like, do you know what I mean?
just
Getting
in
to know
general,
someone,
yeah.
it's just like, what if you just turn away like tomorrow? Like, do you know what I mean?
You see it all the time.
You do, you literally, and people ghost these days. I know obviously we do talk about ghosting and we're like, haha, but actually like I think some people do actually ghost their like long-term partners, which is so crazy.
That's crazy to me.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, it's mad. So I get it entirely. I mean, you said you want to have kids one day.
Yeah.
So I want to know, do you take hydroxyurea?
No.
I see.
So I used to, well, I tried it for like, I mean, a couple months. Even that I didn't want to. I tried it because I felt like I didn't know what else would help. And that was the options they were giving me at that point. But yeah, I was scared to take it. I was really scared to take it. I think the way my doctor approached it in a really good way. He told me all the facts, gave me the leaflets. But as soon as I started hearing certain words, I was like, oh my gosh.
What words were they?
Like chemo, deformities with my baby, and all of this kind of stuff, hair loss and black nails and all of this. And I was like,
Black nails?
Yeah. That's one of the
it can change your
apparent side effects. I haven't seen it in anyone.
Skin tone, colour to darker, and your nails darker. And it's happened to my friend.
Wow.
Her nails have gone dark. And I started hearing stuff like that. But the baby one freaked me out the most.
Yeah.
And when I told my dad, he automatically was like, no. Like, oh my gosh, do not go on that drug. That's crazy. Like, what is that? And I was like, but what else am I supposed to do, kind of thing. And then I tried it because I did speak to other people with sickle cell who were on it, and they said it helped them. So I thought, let me just try it. But as soon as I started taking it, I didn't feel good. Like I couldn't eat. I was always feeling nauseous. My tummy was like it was so strange. Like they kept changing my doses to see if that would help. Maybe I was on too much, they thought. So I went lower and lower, but it still wasn't helping. And it got to the point I was like, I'm not eating. I feel like crap. I'm scared anyways. I'm not taking it anymore. So I was like, I'm not doing that. Give me something else. And that's when I went on to the blood exchange.
Okay, fair enough. I feel like obviously everybody is different, obviously. So obviously it just didn't, you just didn't agree with it for some reason, but there are some people who obviously do agree with it.
My friends have been taking it for years.
And it's helped them. And I think it's really interesting that, we spoke to Dr. or Professor Eugene earlier, who said that they're not actually sure about the impacts on pregnant women, but because of that and because there's not really been enough studies, they just kind of advise, pregnant women with sickle cell to stop taking it. But obviously there are some people who have become pregnant whilst taking it, unbeknownst to them, do you know what I mean? Which is also really interesting. I mean, I know that it's got side effects with men as well, hasn't it?
As you touched on in terms of chemo, so hydroxyurea is actually a chemotherapy drug that they use to treat cancer, or they used to use, but they've obviously realised that it helps us as sickle cell patients as well. And then obviously the drug can, they say it can affect loads of different things, especially for men, like in terms of libido, your sperm count as well. It's one of those things that I think it's a medication that they give you the full detail of, and it's up to you to make the decision and what's best for you. Similar to Gilda, when I initially started to take it, I felt like my skin was on fire. Like it wasn't agreeing with me. Then I got dosed down a little bit, and it started to take effect, and it started to help me in terms of my occurrences in hospital. So obviously with sickle cell, not one size fits all. Like everyone's different. So the drug, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, however you want to see it, but I think it definitely does affect the individual as well. So, but yeah, men especially, obviously, when you go on it, they talk about the risks, and they talk about the next process in terms of taking it. So when you take it, they recommend that you have to sperm bank. and that comes with, because they say it might affect your sperm count in terms of how much sperm you produce. And when you are on hydroxyurea, it's a 90-day cycle. So, for instance, if I was to try for a baby now, you'd have to come off the drug for 90 days, which is about 3 months, for it to clear out of your system before you can start trying for a baby, which is quite hard, obviously, if you're putting that into perspective. 12 months in a year, there's like 4 crucial winter months, like November, December, October, that you need to be on those drugs to avoid hospital. And then you have like spring to come off of it. Then you have like probably a 3-month window to try and conceive. So it's all of these things you need to kind of consider when being on the drug. For me, they told me this, but vaguely, and I had to do my own research in terms of understanding it for myself and challenging my doctors in terms of the right questions to ask. But you can go through that process, and hopefully you get pregnant with whoever you're with. Or obviously there's a secondary option in terms of the sperm banking, and I believe you are offered free IVF with it, and your sperm is banked for 10 years before they revisit it again. So there are options, there are pros and cons to the drug as well. So for men, it's one of those things, like it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like when that was presented to me, when they was talking about the side effects, I was with my mum, and one of the biggest ones which got us was obviously, me, the hair loss, and for my mum was the sperm count. So that's one of the reasons why we didn't take it, because my mum wants grandchildren, obviously.
Yeah.
And obviously then I feel like the way they explained it to us was they just put out all the information.
That's
and
the
obviously
thing.
taking it
Yeah.
in was
It's like
a lot. You go,
Yeah, it's a lot.
So in that moment, I made a decision like, no.
Yeah.
Obviously, after speaking to you and more people, I feel like, you know what, it's not a bad idea, because you haven't had a crisis. Whereas, in a long time, whereas with me, because I'm not on hydroxyurea, instead I'm taking exchanges, like I'm experiencing more crises frequently. So I feel like I need to switch up or change up my treatment, something that's best for me. But yeah, it's not as interesting. Speaking to people that do take it and people that don't take it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the doctor's fault or the hospital's fault, but obviously they're obligated to give you all of this information, but some of it is like a scare tactic sometimes.
Yeah.
It kind of like, nah. When I saw all of the information they provided me, I was like, absolutely not, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And obviously it is like very rare occasions that you get hair loss and this and that. And it's one of those things, I had to take a risk on it just because of the state I was in. When I was like 25, I was in and out of hospital. I was like struggling to come up with more excuses to retain my job. They were like, you're either in or you're out type of thing. And I was like, okay, it's affecting my life now. This is my livelihood. So yeah, that aspect of it is quite harsh, should I say. But I think it's hard to tell the doctors not to give us all this information because they have to, but it's the way they say it and provide us that information that I think could be the key in terms of getting people to actually take the drug to benefit them in the future. But yeah, it's one of those things.
No, thanks for sharing that. And I think, you spoke there about how you have more crisis than Bolaji. And I know that yourself, you said that you're unwell quite a bit, recently you've been unwell quite a bit. And I'm just wondering, when that comes to family planning or when it comes to relationships, how is it when you've got like maybe the fact you're going to have a crisis at the back of your mind, or maybe you're on a date with them, or when it's those more intimate moments?
Yeah, I get freaked out because I am sick a lot, which is unfortunate. It's like only happened maybe the last 4 years. I got a lot worse, and as I get older, I do think about, oh no, like I'm getting older, I do want kids and I do want a family. But I think, how on earth is this gonna happen if I'm always in hospital? I don't go out. If I'm not in hospital, I'm at home recovering. I don't go out. I don't know when I'm gonna have the time or the energy to even go out and meet people. So then I resort to things like online Hinge or whatever, which is absolutely shocking. And
I think we could all vouch for that. Yeah, Hinge is shocking.
yeah, I'm just like, what on earth is gonna happen to me? Like,
Yeah,
it's scary, and I'm just like, oh no, like sickle cell's doing this to me. Like, it's taken a lot from me, I feel. It's taken a lot of like good years where I'm supposed to be out living my best life, finding people, making friends, and finding a guy to possibly have a relationship and build a family with. And I don't have, that time is gone, and I feel like the time is still going as I'm still wrapped up in it all. I don't know when I'll be able to bump into someone to potentially fall in love and do all of that kind of stuff. And like I said, because of, I'm like just so sick all the time, I get freaked out of and talking to people, because I do end up like ghosting and not saying anything because I'm in hospital, and I don't want to talk. I get depressed. I don't want to talk to anyone, so I won't respond. Like, I don't even respond to my family half the time. So what makes you think I'm going to respond to you? Like, I'm not, kind of thing. And some people do get upset with that. I mean, I've had people get really upset with me, like, well, you're not interested, why are you not responding? And I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to explain it to you. Like, I can't be bothered, kind of thing, which is sad. Like, I do get upset about it, but I just feel like I also can't help it. Like, when I'm in that situation and then when I'm in that headspace, I'm like, it is what it is, it's life. Like, I'm gonna just stay depressed right now and try and get through. And then once I feel better, maybe I'll start thinking about going out, talking to people again. But then I get sick again.
Yeah.
And then it starts all over again.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the hospital for like a month or 2 or whatever. And I'm like, when will this happen? So for me, like, I just don't know when.
The other what you said, Gilda, like, I feel like that touched me. And one thing I realized when it comes to love, I'm not an expert, but I'm just talking from my experience. When it comes to love, the best love, I believe, comes unexpected. Like, with my relationship,
100%.
like, it came so unexpectedly. I did not see that coming. Like, I focused on myself, focusing on my career, focusing on everything, my family, everything. And then it just came literally just like that from a DM, and then we went on the first date. And now I feel like it's taboo, but I'm in love, guys. I'm in love.
Bless you.
From a DM?
Yeah, and I feel like previously when I was actually like going out looking for it, I wasn't finding it. And I just feel like, just live your life, you'll find it eventually, 100%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about sickle cell and intimacy. Now, relationships and intimacy for the first time can already be a bit daunting anyway. So with sickle cell, does it feel a bit more daunting, a bit more less, or?
No. I don't. Well, to be fair, I don't think I've experienced it to a point where it's daunting. I just thought I never knew sickle cell could affect that department or those scenarios until obviously you get older. So it was never a thought of or state of panic for me to think that, oh my God, I can't talk to a girl. I can't, let's say, kiss a girl because it might trigger a sickle cell crisis or something like that. I never knew beforehand, so I kind of went into it blindly. And it hasn't really, in terms of intimacy, it hasn't really been an issue or caused an issue. Sometimes I get out of breath, but I think that I feel like everyone would naturally get out of breath. But yeah, no, it's never been a like blocker in terms of intimacy for me personally.
Okay, what about yourself, Gilda?
When I was younger, I was scared to explore that whole intimacy side because I was scared that something might happen to me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I had sickle cell or I was just scared of the facts of the whole situation as a whole, sort of thing. But I was freaked out that I'd have a crisis. But then when I got older and I started actually talking to other people about it, I realized that it shouldn't really play that much of a part. And for me, it hasn't either. If anything, it actually helps when I'm in pain. I don't know if it's all like the natural painkillers that are being released and the happy
Endorphins.
like, and I have noticeably noticed, like, I'm having a crisis, I'm in pain, and when I am like intimate with someone, it disappears.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's gone completely, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell, sort of thing. Like, I'll be fine, I'll wake up fine, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So for me, like, that's a great thing. But I have heard from other people that it does affect their intimacy, and they do have crisis during sex. I mean, I have had a crisis probably twice. But I think one time was because the window was opened.
Yeah.
And it ended up being really cold. I didn't feel cold in the moment, but I think after I noticed that actually my body's cold and my legs felt really cold, and I had a crisis in my legs, and I had to go to hospital straight after, which was annoying. And I was surprised. I was shocked at that point. Yeah.
Did they come along? Did they come along, or did you like get out?
No, I scooted them out. I didn't say a word. That's the thing. I won't say a word. Like, there was one time I was on holiday. I mean, nothing steamy happened or nothing like that. But I was on holiday, a party holiday in Croatia, and back then I didn't realize that every time I leave, I should take my morphine or oxycodone with me. Back then I was on party holiday. I was like, oh, whatever. So I didn't take anything with me. And we stayed out all night, and then me and my friend decided to go to a guy's apartment after or whatever. And when I'm tired and I don't sleep, I can have a crisis.
Yeah.
And because I was up all night, all morning, I could feel my crisis coming. You could feel it sometimes. And I could feel it coming, and I knew, oh no. And we were in this guy's house. And this guy's house, it wasn't like where everybody else is, like near the main centre where all the events are happening. He got a villa like out in the sticks, nowhere land sort of thing. And my friend and her guy dropped me there. And then she decided, oh, I'm going to go to her guy's house. And she left me there. So she was my driver, essentially.
Oh, no.
And I could feel my body on fire. I couldn't breathe. Like, I had to keep holding my breath because I generally couldn't even talk. And this guy is talking to me, and I'm like completely zoned out. I'm like thinking, I can't breathe. But I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to scare him.
Yeah.
And I'm in Croatia. I'm not trying to go hospital over there. I don't even know where the hospital is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to call my friend now to come and pick me back up, to take me back home. She's not answering. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm doomed. Like, I genuinely couldn't breathe. And then, I don't know, it was like God sent these two random girls that he knew to the villa.
Oh, really?
They just popped up out of nowhere. And because I wasn't paying attention, I don't know where the hell these girls came from. They knew him. They popped out of nowhere. And I was like, praise God, because they were entertaining him. He was chatting to them, trying to like get them to leave or whatever so we can go about whatever. And I'm thinking, please talk to these girls. I'm not trying to talk to you right now. I can barely breathe. Like, my chest was literally on fire. And I'm like, please fall asleep, like forcing myself to sleep. Maybe if I sleep, I'll wake up, I'll be better. But I didn't. And then all we did was like a little bit of kissing and stuff like that. Next minute I know, I fall asleep, I wake up and I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't tell him, and because I didn't want to scare him.
Yeah.
And that I couldn't breathe, and I was in the worst pain ever, and I didn't have any pain relief on me. And it was like the other situation. I don't tell people when I'm in pain like that. If you're my boyfriend, I will tell you.
Yeah. Do you think he could sense in that moment?
I have no idea. I was so zoned out.
I see.
I literally cannot even remember what they'll even talk about. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
I was literally so focused on breathing so I don't pass out. that I don't even know what happened that night. But I remember waking up and I was like, whoa, I'm fine. Yeah, I won't tell anyone if I'm in pain. Even like with my friends sometimes, like on the airplane, I have crisis on the airplane.
Yeah.
A lot, and I won't tell them because they won't be able to help me and they'll just panic, and I don't want them to panic and start like annoying me even more. So I'll just try and suffer in silence and get through it myself.
So we spoke about intimacy and sickle cell. Now, one thing I'd like to touch upon is priapisms. Now, Bolaji, can I ask you, how would you sum up what a priapism is?
Priapism is like when you have a sustained erection for a prolonged amount of time. And that can happen obviously during sexual intercourse when you're intimate with a partner. And that's just one of the side effects of sickle cell. It has happened, and it can happen to anyone really with sickle cell if it's not treated right. To be fair, I don't actually understand why it happens. It feels like the blood, as you know, how things, way of life happens,
Yes,
the blood just doesn't want to go back where it needs to go in the body. And it will just be like that, sustained until you go to hospital or you have a cold shower. Obviously, cold showers almost goes against everything you need for a sickle cell patient because cold showers aren't good for us, but they're helpful in that situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a weird, priapism is one of those things, I can't explain it. I'm not sure what a doctor would say in that situation, but it's an annoying thing that happens once you're intimate, once you finish being intimate, or even during being intimate with someone. And it's just one of those things that...
Can it happen without being intimate as well?
It can, I believe it can, yes, sorry, it can, yeah. It's not linked solely to being intimate. It could just be a Monday morning, going to school. Or not going to school, where you're going, it could just happen. It's just, I can't put a finger on why it happens. I don't know the full explanation for that.
Can it happen when you have a crisis as well? Or sometimes you're not even in crisis?
I guess priapism is a crisis. It is a crisis in itself.
Okay,
That's what they call it. It's a crisis in itself. You wouldn't necessarily have that and a painful chest or back crisis.
Right, okay. So it's just
a crisis in itself within that region of the body.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's one of those things that you're just like, what? You don't know until it happens to you. And obviously when you're going through pediatrics to adult healthcare, they don't really touch on it until you're actually experiencing it. So that's when you start finding out information about
That's so
it
bad.
and how to combat it, should I say. But I don't really understand. Till to this day, I don't understand the ins and outs of it. Yeah.
I feel like I'd love to ask you, what's one tip that you'd maybe give a previous version of you about what to do when it comes to dating?
I don't know, open and honest, I guess, or try to be as much as you can. And I think you can't be shy about your condition. You have to wear it as a badge of honor type of thing and just be like, this is this. If you're with it, you're with it. If you're not, keep it moving type of thing. Other than that, I think that's like the most important type of message I send to my younger self.
I feel like, I agree. If I was to give advice to myself, younger self, would be like, first advice I'll give is you have this condition, accept it, and like you said, wear it like it's armor.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as soon as I finally accepted I have sickle cell, and as soon as I was able to let everyone know that this is me, I was able to be me, if that makes sense. I was able to be myself, and I feel like that reflected in my relationships and friendships and everything. Like, people just noticed I was different. I wasn't like pretending to be someone I'm not. And I feel like that's the first thing I'll tell my younger self.
I'd pretty much say similar, like, because back then I did not accept the fact that I didn't talk about it. I didn't want to know. It was only when I had a crisis or something I would remember I had it, sort of thing. So I would say that I needed to accept it and learn about it, because I learned about it really late, and I feel like I should have learned about it a lot earlier. It would have helped me a lot, and it would have helped me advocate for myself a lot better as well. Yeah, I would say accept it, don't hide, be confident, and yeah, don't worry about other people. If whoever likes you and will accept it, and whoever doesn't, just whatever. Like, don't take it personally either.
Yeah, so like keep it moving sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
but you know
say
what it is,
my
yeah? I
hard
feel like
feelings.
it's easy to say to someone, accept it, when they're going through it. Like, if I told myself accept it, I was thinking, oh, what's this guy saying? I feel like
Yeah.
to accept it, you have to understand the condition.
Yeah.
And
It's like you have to
the
go through
reason-
your own
yeah.
sort of journey to accept it.
exactly,
Yeah.
and the reason why I wasn't accepting is because I didn't know my condition. I didn't know, like, why I was having crisis. I didn't know what ticks it, what was my, like, what made me have a crisis, what made me be in pain. And I feel like as soon as I understood that, like, cool, being out in the cold, stress.
Yeah, you know your triggers.
Yeah. No, now exactly, that's what I'm looking for, triggers. I feel like knowing my triggers, knowing what affects me, I'm able to be me. Like,
Yeah.
simple. That's
Well,
how
I'd say
that's how I
look
explain
after
it.
yourself, like literally, because a lot of people,
Exactly.
they know what triggers them, but they will still be going at it full force, and it's like, chill out, stop, like know when to stop.
Knowing when to stop.
and
Like
to take a
sometimes,
break.
Yeah, you can't have all the fun in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just because you're simply
Don't
different
feel
from your
embarrassed.
friends. Yeah. You can't go as far.
Yeah, I
as
used to
they-
like not do PE lessons sometimes, and I used to feel awkward because people were like, why is she not doing PE and stuff like that, and I used to be like embarrassed, and I'd go home. Like, I'd literally go home.
Yeah, nah.
Teachers
There's
actually
one
let
time-
you
nah,
go
teachers-
home. They let you
There's
go
one
home.
like I
time,
used to
yeah,
make up
I was
excuses.
in
I
secondary
was
school. It was like snowing,
I'd just leave
and
and
the teacher was
make
like,
up
"Yeah,
excuses.
go play football on the grass." I'm like, "Brother,
like,
it's
I
snowing.
can't do
I can't do that." And this guy had them like long coats down
Of
past your
course,
knee.
it's always that
He
way.
had that on, and I'm
Always
like,
that way.
I can't kick ball in this type of conditions. Like, I need to go or miss PE or something. But they're like, it's condition. What's the word? Compulsory to do PE, and I'm just like, I can't
It's
do
when
that.
they made me do cross country, I said, no way.
Yeah.
No
Just
way.
running. Nah,
I said, I'm not doing PE no more. I'm out of it.
Yeah,
So yeah, know when to stop,
yeah.
because that will be your downfall.
You've been listening to the Sickle Cell Society podcast. We've been joined by sickle cell patients Michael, Gilda and Bolaji, who've been talking about all things relationships and, living with the condition. We're sponsored by Turimo, and it's been lovely having you.